I'm so sorry I had my camera off, but to grow through what we go through is a dedicated um philosophy that a lot of people have heard. I've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it. Grow through what you go through. And it's part of the shaping our behavior and in influencing mindset and building a movement around love and action because the experiences that we go through, the knowledge that we gain along the way, the wisdom we gain, the trainings that we've gone through, the people that we've met, and the lessons that we've learned in life, we take those and it builds us to be who we are. And whenever we're doing better, we can then help people that are going through similar situations because we know how to get through that struggle, that misery, that pain. We know how to get through that and get into the light and find hope and love through love. I went through psychosis and it could happen to anyone. I had schizophrenia, schizoaffective bipolar disorder since I was a baby, since I was born, and I didn't know it. I struggled my whole life and I never knew that I had schizophrenic bipolar disorder. It wasn't until 2018 or 17 when I went through psychosis and ended up um, showing signs of psychosis to friends and family. And they took me to a crisis center, and the crisis center evaluated me and said that I was a grave disability to myself or a grave endangerment to myself and that I had grave disability. And so they sent me to a mental hospital where they stabilized me on some medication. And when I was safe to go home, they sent me to a step down facility that was still a locked facility. We could go outside and stuff like that, but it was monitored. We couldn't go outside the fence. Um, it was a residential hospital and step down facility, both that I had to stay at. And I was between those, I would have much rather been there instead of jail all the times that I was in jail. But police don't know how to deal with psychosis. They don't even most of the time know how to spot psychosis, much less help somebody through it. They take people to jail more than they take people to the mental hospital. But a lot of times, when there wasn't a true serious crime and the person is showing signs of mental health, which police should be aware of, um, well, they should be taking people to a mental hospital, to a crisis center, and at least and have the person evaluated, and or to a hospital and have that person evaluated so that they can get sent to a mental hospital and stabilized on medication and then sent back out to the community so that the person is able to rehabilitate. Because when you're in jail you can't rehabilitate because there's no resources, there's no care. There's just eat, sleep, exercise if you're able to, and watch TV and do time, but you're not getting help for your mental health treatment. That's why when someone's in crisis and in psychosis, it's essential not to call the police unless there's a danger or crime happening. Because if you call the police, they don't know how to handle a person in psychosis. You need to get that person to a crisis center or call a crisis line and ask what to do. And they'll tell you the same thing probably is to get them to a crisis center. Not every community has a crisis center. That's why they have the crisis line as well. And more communities are starting to, more larger communities are starting to get a crisis center, but not all communities have a crisis center. So it's essential to know the resources around you and in your community, whether that be 211 United Way, whether that be Googling what resources there are in your community, what nonprofits there are, and calling each nonprofit and saying, hey, my name is so and so. My name is Chelsea. I'm wondering what your organization does for people in the community, um, because you're looking to familiarize yourself with resources. Thank you.